I would love to go ahead and introduce Marina from AWS and Mayor from Nirmata, who are going to be guiding us through this workshop. So, with no further ado, I'll go ahead and hand it over to y'all.
Hello. Thanks everyone for joining. My name is Mayur Kotumraju. I'm a solutions architect at Nirmata, and today I'll be being the primary person that will walk us through all this workshop. I'm also joined by Marina, so let me pass it over to you, Marina.
Yeah, thank you, Mayur. Thank you, Brian, to start. Welcome everyone to our workshop today. Please be engaged in chatting. So I'm Senior Partner and Solution Architect at AWS. I work with Nirmata on a joint solution with AWS, as you can imagine. I'm joining today from Seattle area, Washington. Yeah, and welcome everyone. Yeah, Mayur will give code on contact and how like some housekeeping, but yeah. We know you don't see the polls results and asked Brian to share it because I'm pretty sure you wanted to see what people actually use and if you have a neighbor who is actually using the same to chat, right? Mayor, back to you. Let's start.
Yeah, thanks, Marina. So let me first start off with actually introducing the problem. So we all know that AI adoption is accelerating incredibly fast across enterprises, and a lot of these workloads are running on Kubernetes, such as Amazon EKS, right? But what we're seeing is that teams are moving very quickly to deploy the AI infrastructure, whether it's inferencing or it's agents or training jobs or with vector DBs, but governance and security often struggles to keep up with that pace. So on the left side, you can see some of the key trends driving these challenges. First, we all know is the rapid expansion of AI ML workloads, right? And scaling that across all the different organizations. And we now know that Kubernetes has become that operation platform that is running a lot of these workloads, right? Second, AI introduces new security and governance concerns, right? So these workloads are often very resource intensive. They use large third-party containers and can consume significant compute if those guardrails are not in place, right? And lastly, when you're trying to balance innovation with control, platform teams want developers and AI engineers to move really quickly, but they still need that consistent security and compliance that we can standardize or operationally standardize. So on the right side, we've broken this down into what actual governance terms we commonly see across production environments. The first one, of course, is security, and which we'll handle in the workshop today, cost control, and resource flow, right? And all of this ties along with compliance, and that is where we'll be using policy enforcement to sort of guide those enforcing those organization and regulatory requirements consistently across your environments. And lastly, we want to have that visibility and auditability so teams can have that centralized insights into what is compliant, what's violating, and where the risk sits within your clusters, right? And that is where policy as code becomes very, very important. So yeah, so that's just the quick overview of the summary where what we'll be doing in the lab in terms of the problem statement. So let me go into the next slide. I know a lot of you know about this, but I just wanted to iterate where the AWS shared responsibility model sits in all of this, right? So AWS provides us with a secure, scalable infrastructure foundation like EKS and with the compute networking and all the managed Kubernetes control plane. But customers, most importantly, are still responsible for securing, governing of what they want to deploy across the environment. So that includes workload configurations, policy enforcement, governance, compliance control, and so on, right? So AWS secures your cloud, but we, as the customers, are still responsible for securing those workloads in your cloud. So what we'll be showing you today is how Kyverno and Nirmata help automate that responsibility through Kubernetes native policy enforcement with that centralized governance. And then we'll be using some AI assisted workflows to sort of speed up this adoption. Cool. Let me see if anything on the chat. Looks like we're good. So let me move on to the next slide. So I wanted to spend a quick minute to just introduce Kyverno. I know Brian had a quick poll. I know there's, I think, about 20% of you have heard of Kyverno. So I just wanted to introduce Kyverno and Nirmata as well. So now that we've talked about the governance challenges that's facing organizations with AI and workloads in Kubernetes, so let's see how Kyverno can fit into this. So Kyverno is a Kubernetes native policy engine designed specifically for platform engineers and Kubernetes team. So one of the biggest advantages of Kyverno is that policies are written declaratively using YAML and Cell, and we'll be writing some policies today, which makes it very approachable for a lot of you all platform teams that are in the call today. So you don't need to learn a new language like Rego or anything like that. It's already something that all of you are used to. So a lot of things that Kyverno enables. I mean, I'm not going to dive into it, but you can validate your workloads, you can mute it, you can generate, you can clean up. And the biggest thing is also, image verification and supply chain that Kyverno offers. We are, you know, we recently, Kyverno became a CNCF graduated project. So a lot can see some of the industries that are using Kyverno. Some are enterprise, some are open source, but there's wide adoption. Just by looking at the downloads and the GitHub stars, you can see that Kyverno has now become the de facto policy engine across most clusters. And we've also expanded away from just Kubernetes. We can also govern workloads, AI workloads, cloud, Terraform, and so on and so forth. So now we know what Kyverno is. So how does Nirmata sit in all of this, right? So Kyverno provides that enforcement layer engine inside Kubernetes, but as organizations scale across multiple teams, clusters, and environments, they also need that centralized governance, reporting, lifecycle, and operation workflows. And that's what Nirmata comes in, right? It helps you, Kyverno finds issues, Nirmata fixes them. And again, today in the workshop, we will see how Nirmata's control hub sits across your clusters in terms of that governance layer. Cool. And then one last thing before we go into the lab, I just wanted to show you just the big picture. Today, we're focused on the Kubernetes enforcement with policy side, but there's a lot that Nirmata offers on top of Kyverno. So we have a bunch of agents, such as the remediator agent, optimizer, a recommender agent that we can deploy across your clusters. But today, we'll be focusing more on that NCTL AI piece of it that's deployed with our enterprise Kyverno. But the key thing here is you can see there's multiple policy controls that we sit on top of with agents running in the background. But today we'll be focusing more on the policy governance side of all of this. Cool. So I'm going to pause for like 1 second. I know I covered a lot and I wanted to, just talk about what we'll be building in the lab today. Cool. So the first thing is high level will be Marina, have you provided the link to join?
No, I'm waiting for you to finish
Sorry,
housekeeping and everything. No
okay,
worries.
cool. So Marina will provide us, the infrastructure and a VS Code terminal, which will connect to the cluster. We'll install our Nirmata Enterprise Kyverno version. We'll then go into a policy set and we'll talk through it as we go through the lab. Then we'll use our Agentic NCTL AI to deploy some policies, test it out with non-compliant AI workloads, and see how that blocking enforcement looks like. And then we'll, go back to our control hub to see how this looks in the governance layer. Then we'll deploy a compliant workload. And then we'll actually simulate an AI inferencing request to see how that looks. And then in the end, we'll do some cost governance and then see how all of this is tied across how Nirmata adds value on top of what we're already doing. So that's a big picture. And yeah, let's go into the workshop and I'll quickly pass it over to Marina in terms of the housekeeping stuff here, and then we'll go into the actual workshop.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think we needed to do it in the first, but guys, the question number one is going to be like, is it going to be recorded? Yes, it's going to be recorded and shared after the event. Microphone is not enabled for you, but please, please use chat, engage, talk about problems so we know something we missing and didn't cover today. But please, the big ask, use Q&A tab and please find it. It's at the bottom of the Zoom for any questions, because then we can like see like that we answer it all questions and then not actually miss it in the QA, in the chat, sorry, but I'll monitor. Duration we planning for 60 minutes approximately. If you're running out of the time, recording will be provided. We happy to still a little longer to answer additional questions. The AWS Sandbox account provided, they provided for use for all our like efficiency. First of all, you're not going to have any changes to your local environment because that's all virtual web code editor terminal all pre-configured. It has pre-deployed EKS. You don't need to change local configuration to new AWS accounts. It's efficient because there's IAM specific roles all at place, and we have all the same experience. Mayur is going to guide us through. And this will be available for next 2 days as well for you to finish it at your own pace with like all the instruction available. Survey will come in the follow-up email. So please like give us thumbs up, thumbs down where we did good, bad, what we missed it was too fast, too slow, and what else we need to improve next time. Code of conduct. Be respectful, be inclusive, keep professional as usual. Let us know any questions. Chat is enabled for everyone. Q&A enabled for everyone. Me and another person from Nirmata team or Rohan here will be monitoring and helping you with any issues. Mayur?
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, I do have people helping me with questions, so feel free to be as engaged. And I will slow down as we go through this step by step. Should take us about 30 minutes if everything works well. But as Marina mentioned, we do have, 2 days after to keep testing. But yeah, I think we're ready to get started. Yeah, cool. Marina just sent the link. So as soon as you sign up for that, you'll see this the landing page that I'm in. So I'll wait for a couple minutes and let me know
Mayur,
if you, yeah.
yeah, can you go at AWS event and show just people the steps how to do it? So if you go at AWS event in your
Oh
screen
yeah,
right
sorry.
here,
Thank you so much.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically is like just scroll down. You'll see the sign in. You use email one-time password. You'll receive one-time password to access the platform. You don't need enter event code because it's already embedded in the link I provided. Let me know is like if any issues. You need to agree the terms and condition that basically is like do not use this account for anything else than lab actually designed it to do. Yes, I have a background access and I can help you with any issues, but I also can see if there's anything going wrong. So yeah, yes, you can access AWS console directly. There is open AWS console to see what's pre-deployed, cloud formation stack, everything how it looks inside. But you actually don't need it, except because we have a quad editor web version provided, so you'll be like actual manipulating through the CLI, pre-install it and everything. So yeah, let us know if any issues to access the platform, and please grab it. It's free sandbox account. It's very convenient to use, and it will give you a free playground without any damage to your local environment.
Cool. Thank you so much. And as Marina mentioned, there is an EKS cluster that we have access to that AWS has provided. And we also have all the prereqs installed in this environment. So you don't have to worry about access or, do you have access to install NCTL AI or Helm? All that we've taken care of for. So it's all ready to go as soon as you get access. So yeah, Marina, you let me know when I should move to the next step. But I'll pause here to make sure everyone is logged in, accepted the terms, and is ready to go. Or if you want to put on chat, if people are ready to go, let me know.
Folks, give us thumb up that you're ready to go. I think we slowly can start slowly, Mayur, but let me double check how many people logged in. I think we can slowly start. So, but folks, let us know any issues. Okay, somebody give us thumb up. That's like you're ready to go. It should be pretty relatively good. Some people might have access to issues with a one-time password, but
Okay.
typically it's pretty fast.
But yeah, so real quick, sorry, I'm moving quick. Once you do this, you'll access this page, and then you can see here there's a section that says AWS account access. So you can just click on this, and this opens up. Oh, not sorry, where is that? yeah, go to access VS Code, and then you'll get a link. Once you click on that, you'll see this. So here's the link that you'll get once you click on VS Code. And you can see we have a terminal with the VS Code editor. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the first step. So the first step here, so at AWS event, I'm clicking on access VS Code. The first step here is just updating your kube config. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. Once that's in, let's just quickly make sure that we do have access to the cluster. And yep, I can see my nodes, so we're good to go. Perfect. And then from here, let's click on, get started with Nirmata. So another quick access thing we need to do is click on Nirmata sign up. You should see something like this. Just sign up with your email and your name, and you should get an email to give you a landing page similar to this. So this is the Nirmata dashboard that we'll be using in this workshop. Cool. All right, so I'll wait another minute and then we can go into actually running some of the commands. Okay, cool. So we have one person give us a thumbs up. Paul, if you could also sign up to the Nirmata account as well. I can also paste this on the chat here.
I was already worrying it's like we have like issues with the chat because nobody is like answering me. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, folks, like, yeah, please, like, let us know. Like, yeah, I see people signing up. Good. Yeah, Nirmata sign up as well. Yeah, it's relatively straightforward, pretty fast.
Yeah, after the few admin things will move a lot quicker, but these are things we have to do to get started. But after that, it'll be super, super quick. Also, Marina, I've noticed a couple of new people have joined. So in the chat, Marina has posted a link that gives you access to the workshop. So just click on that and follow the instructions from there. Um,
Mhm. All right. All right, where do I need to sign up? I did miss it. Okay, so it's in your Nirmata sign up. So the platform you access has all these links. So you go and getting started with Nirmata, and there is a Nirmata sign up link on Nirmata account. Could you pause my ear? So yeah, Nirmata account, the page in the workshop that has a sign up link, but basically it's Nirmata sign up. You can even Google very quickly. It's 15 days free trial. You can use your personal account or something. Yep,
okay. Oh,
great.
the AWS URL as well.
It does show a workshop. Okay, that's expected. I wish Zoom allow pin messages. Here we go. Oops, sorry. Not wrong one. Here it is. It is workshop. You'll have totally identical screen to what Mayur has. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, cool. Let's get
That's it.
started.
Yeah.
We're right on time. So as you sign up, you'll get this page. Quickly sign up. It sends you an email. Once you set up your email, you will get this landing page. So once we're here, we're ready to get started. And let me move forward again. So let's move on to the next step. So let me exit this. So we've activated your Nirmata account. You now have access to the VS Code instance. So now let's go into the Nirmata side of things and generate a token. So the first thing is, so we'll go in, if you can see here, go to settings and profile. So I'll go here, go to my settings, and then go to my profile. And then let's generate an API key. So I'll type in my password. So let me just pause my screen for a quick second.
I
Cool.
heard password is masked field for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, some days just gotta be careful. So anyway, so we got our API key, so we can now use this key later on. So once you do that, we're good to get started. So now from here, we will go into the cluster control point. We're skipping cloud control point. We're going straight to the cluster control point. And this is what we're doing in this step is connecting your Kubernetes cluster to our Nirmata Control Hub dashboard to now have access where our dashboard now has access to your cluster.
Mayor,
So
can I interrupt you here? So for
yeah,
people familiarity is that we see you have a three control points. Can you quickly summarize what the difference is? Because like even though, like when I worked with AWS folks, they're like, oh, in the cloud control point, the problem misspelling is ECS, should be EKS. So is what's the difference because cloud control point, cluster control point, and pipeline control
yeah,
point?
great question. And yeah, so again, this workshop is available to you afterwards. Today we'll be focusing on AI workloads, but what Nirmata provides you, and I did show a screen of the different control points that Nirmata and Kyverno offer. So the first one here is the cluster control point, which I mentioned is your Kubernetes cluster. The second one is a control point for your cloud infrastructure. So, for example, for AWS, we can have Nirmata govern your AWS resources such as S3 buckets, EC2 instances. In fact, Marina did a workshop recently where we put guardrails around Bedrock as well. So it gives you that full, governance layer, unified governance layer across multiple enforcement points. The next one is pipeline control. So that's where the whole idea of shifting left. So instead of at admission time where you get, when you try to deploy a uncompliant workload to your cluster and it blocks you, you can actually do all of these checks in your CI/CD pipeline. So what that offers you is that feedback loop to developers is very instant versus waiting for it to be blocked and then kicks back to the developer. So we can integrate within your CI/CD pipelines to give you that enforcement point. And then, of course, the last one today, we'll be working on that AI workload governance aspect, which is just a offshoot of the cluster control point.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to make sure that it's
Yeah,
like
thank you.
because we're focusing on EKS, but Nirmata can now cover much more. So like it's clear picture for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, this workshop is available for 72 hours and Nirmata Control Hub dashboard is available to you for 14 days. So the sky's the limit on how much testing you guys want to do. Okay, so let's go to cluster onboarding. So let's go ahead and add a cluster. So let's quickly grab this. I've clicked on cluster onboarding and then go into the Nirmata Control Hub dashboard. And I will go into clusters and let's add a cluster. So the first step is adding your cluster. So here, the cluster name is demo AWS cluster. You can add labels if you want, but for now, we'll skip all of that. And then here is important. We're not going to be using NCTL. We'll be using Helm. So we are actually installing Enterprise Kyverno on this cluster, and we wanted to walk you through the steps and how straightforward that is. So there are a couple of commands that you'll be running. The first one is, just adding the Helm repo. So let's go ahead and just copy that. We'll add the Nirmata repo that's added. We'll update the repo. So let me go ahead and update that. And then we'll add the kube controller, and you can see my cluster tokens are already preset because we set that up earlier on. So Nirmata actually pre-configures your tokens for you, so you don't have to look for it now. So you can see here when I do the Helm install, I have those tokens set. So let's go ahead and install the kube controller. So I've just copy pasted that, press enter. And yep, it's deployed. And you can see policy sets are true, the exceptions are true. And now I'll go ahead and install Enterprise Kyverno. So same steps again. So I'll go ahead, install, and we're installing Kyverno. And that takes a quick second. So let me go ahead and copy the last thing. And this is just the operator that we use to communicate with our UI. So it's very straightforward. It's all as you click on, so it looks like there's a question. Yeah, so it's very straightforward when you install it. You just go here and everything is pre-populated. So you can see the Kyverno is also installed. And now let's just install the Kyverno operator.
Mayor, the question is which port we need to open if they have closed environment for the communication with Nirmata Hub?
Yeah, great question. So communication between our UI to your cluster is just 443. So we're just using HTTPS to talk to your cluster to our SaaS. Again, we can also do on-prem deployments, but to our SaaS right now, the port is 443 outbound.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've now installed Nirmata Control Hub. Sorry, not installed. Sorry, we've now installed Kyverno, and so once you do that, we can see it's all good. You can just click on I have run the commands, and what this does, you can see it's already picked up that Kyverno has been installed. It already knows there's some issues. So it's given me a score, so we now know we're in a good place to move forward. So then we'll go into policy set. So real quick, I know there are some Kyverno users here, but real quick, a policy set is just a combination of different policies that Nirmata have created, and you can create your own that gives you some recommended, policies that we need in your cluster. So here are some of the examples like K8's best practice, RBAC best practice, so on and so forth. But today we're just going to do the base minimum baseline. So go ahead and uncheck box these three, and we'll just deploy the baseline. This is just audit mode, so it doesn't block any deployments, but you can see how violations look in terms of your dashboard. So once that's done, let's go ahead and apply it here. And it's going to create those policy sets. So this is all stored in Git. There's a public repo. Some of our customers actually have curated their own policy sets that is in a private repo. We can take that. So anytime there's any changes to it, we can pick the latest Git commit that's in your main branch and auto deploy that to your clusters. Cool. Any questions so far?
No, I don't see any yet. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we have connected our cluster. So we have finished step 1 and 2 of the workshop. So I'll wait a quick second before I move into the next section. If there's any questions, please let me know. But right now we have connected our cluster to Nirmata Control Hub, and we have deployed a base policy set. And you can already see the policy sets scanning all your cluster resources right now. So you can see there's some violations that have popped up. Okay, so let me move on to the next step. So from cluster control point, we've onboarded the cluster and deployed the policy set. So now we can actually move on to the AI governance section. So we can skip the pipeline control point and some of the Nirmata workflows, but we're going straight into the AI workload governance section. So the last one right before cleanup, click on that, and we're ready to get started. So real quick, I know there's a few other people have joined after the slides. So we'll be doing a couple things. First of all, we did not get access to GPU instances for this workload, given the amount of people that joined. So we'll be using mock CPU instances. As you work through this in your own environment, you'll just have to replace it with GPU instances, but wanted to set the context that because of the amount of people that have joined this workshop, we are now just using CPU, but make sure if you're doing this in your environment, just make sure you're using the right GPU instances. Okay, so what we'll be doing next is we're going to be verifying our environment. So we'll go in here. You can just copy all of this. So we're just checking the nodes. That's good. Checking if Kyverno is healthy. We already know it's healthy, but wanted to instill the practice of always checking. I know our control hub said it's healthy. And then we're also going to be checking cpols, which is just a way of saying cluster policies. So you want to see what cluster policies we deployed with that policy set that we just ran. So let me quickly run this and cool. So you can see the nodes are there. We can see that Kyverno is healthy and running. And we just deployed that policy set, right? So you can see some of the policy sets that we deployed. For example, disallowing host path or port, we've already deployed that. So we're ready to get started with the next step. So we verify the environment works. So now let's create a namespace specifically for AI workloads. When we're doing this so that we can differentiate what namespace we're working in, it's just a simple kubectl create namespace. So let me go ahead and run that. Cool. We just created the namespace. And I'll just do get namespace. And you can see we have the AI workloads namespace created. And the next thing we're doing, and this is best practice, we're disabling the service account mounting. And this is a best practice so that your AI workloads do not have access to the K8's API unless we explicitly grant it. By default, EKS does allow that, but we're disabling this just so that we're following best practice. And we do have policies that are verifying in the background that we're not allowing the K8 API access. So it's a simple patch to your service account in the default names in the AI workloads namespace, and that should be patched. Cool. Marina, am I too slow, too fast? What do you think?
I think it's all good. I don't see any
Okay, cool.
questions.
Okay.
Hopefully people that busy doing things and not just bored.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is also available, but the recording will be sent, so you can use this as a way to keep yourself in pace. So the next thing we're doing is we're making sure the node pools. So I wanted to call out something here. So we're just getting the node pools. As I mentioned, we did not get access to GPUs for this workshop. We're just using the general purpose one. But you should, if you are doing this on your own AWS environment and have access to GPUs, you can create a GPU specific node pool. So wanted to call that out as we progress through the workshop. And yeah, so we have it. I also have just put a quick guide if you don't see the node pool. I know Marina has done those templates for us, so we do see it. But if you're running this in your own environment, we have this node pool ready, and you can see we're just using basic CPU instances. If this was in GPU, it would have GPU tags. We will be referencing specific GPU AWS instances. Okay, so now let me just check if the node pools and the node claims are set. They're all set, so we can now start running the policies. So let's move on to the next section, which is generate policies with agentic AI. So this is going to be some cool stuff we'll be doing with our NCTL AI. So what we'll be doing, just quickly run NCTL AI. We've already pre-installed this for you. So just run NCTL AI and press enter. Oh, okay. So let me just give me a second. I think we just made sure that we have sorry, I just need to get my verification code. 1 second. Okay, let me paste. Okay, cool. I'm just activating my account real quick. And where is refresh?
Oh, you don't have a free
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not getting the activation code. I used a different email because I'd maxed out. So just a second.
No.
Uh,
Make sure the people actually also follow.
I guess it's a good
Guys,
time.
are we doing great job with like we like good doing good pace for you to follow so you can repeat what Mayur is doing on the screen? It should be like, yeah, you have all access like to all comments, you can copy them from workshop, but just in the case, let us know. Hmm.
Okay, I'm just reach. I've paused my screen for a second, so I am checking something.
You use that account which is blocked by Nirmata already?
No, I think I just used all the tokens. It's blocking me. Let me just try again. 1 second.
Mayur was preparing hard. That's what it is. That's
Yeah,
fine.
well, I was like, wow, it's going so smooth. So something.
There's always
uh,
something.
yeah, give me a second. I'm just opening my email and
Hmm.
okay, cool. So I did get the token now. Okay, cool. So yeah, once you do that, you'll log into your NCTL AI and we're just going to run quick start. This just gives, it'll scan your cluster and provide feedback. I'm hoping that I've not run out of tokens here, but we do have a limit of 60,000 tokens for the trial account. Of course, when you do enterprise, we increase those token limits. Um, so let's see how many tokens I have here. Uh, yeah, so it's just running quick start. Let's just allow and, don't ask me again. And it's just going to quickly scan your cluster and just give you some, overview of what that is. So it's running all the different skills.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, luckily I have a new thing. So you can see it gave me an overview. It checked if kubectl is installed. Uh, and you can see we have all the different things. It's scanned through the cluster. It's seen what all is available. And yeah, we've connected. It also sees that we've connected to Nirmata Control Hub, and it's also figured out what cluster is connected. So we are good to get started with actually running some commands now with our NCTL AI. So the first command that, again, I've put the prompts for you to speed up the workshop. Again, the sky's the limit on what you want to ask. But what we're doing here, and as we talked about, AI workloads are resource intensive, right? We want to make sure we're limiting the memory requests. We're making sure the application is up. So we have liveness and readiness probes selected. And here the node selector, again, we're using general purpose, but for GPU, you'd have this as a GPU instance, and we're also checking the service account. So what we're doing here is deploying a policy that makes sure every time you're in the AI workload space and you deploy, it's checking if all of these are met. If not, it denies it, and we're running through that. So it's really important your AI workloads have constraints, right? You're checking what node selector is done, and you're also following security best practice. So let's go ahead and generate that. So again, I've given the prompt for you guys to use, but again, you can use any prompt you want, and it'll actually generate the policies for you. As it's doing that, I just wanted to take a minute to say that yeah, I think it's a good time to actually show you because this may take a second. We have ran, benchmarking with we have ran benchmarking with other tools like Cloud Code, and we have benchmarked our NCTL AI generates a 98% accuracy and for a cheaper of cost in terms of generating new policies and also testing them out. So if you go here, you can see it, gets my request. It knows what we're trying to do. So it, checks that out and then generates the policy for me. And you can see here we're using enforce. So that means it's blocking. We can also use audit if you want to audit what happened, but not block your developers. You can also do that. And it gives you a quick overview of how that, policy looks like. And once it does that, it tells you what it's doing. It gives you a summary, and we can actually run tests. So let's go ahead and say, test this for me. Yeah, let's just say yes. It's saying do you want CLI unit test? So let's just say yes to that. And it's now going to run some Kyverno tests on that specific, policy that we just generated. And the cool thing about having I don't know why it's not here, but it'll save it in a second. You can see it here in VS Code pop up. So let it do the test, and then we can pull up how this policy looks with VS Code. Marina, all good with the questions? Or looks like you're...
Yeah, we have. I'm helping Gary to figure out the kubectl issue, but everywhere else, I don't see any questions yet. Yeah. Even encourage people. It's pretty shy, like public today.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're super busy writing this out. So
yeah, it's like nowadays AI competes with us, so we need to compete with AI. I'm joking. We're still smarter.
Yeah, this is probably because of all the people pinging our Claude. It's probably taking a minute, but yeah, we have 14 minutes, so let me see if we can speed up some of these sections.
It's okay. We have still 13 minutes. Yeah, I think we're in time.
Oh, okay, cool. Anyone struggling with the NCTL section of the workshop?
Tux, let us know. What do you see? If you stuck
Like
on
this
the
me
previous
who's stuck.
steps.
Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, we're definitely... Well, the good thing is I have given a sample workload here.
Yeah, let's go for this one.
Yeah,
I will
let's
wait.
do that. So it should I'll end this section real quick. But it'll generate something similar to this, and you can actually deploy to your cluster. So it'll ask you, do you want to deploy this to your cluster? And you can say yes. So it actually also auto deploys it for you. So speeds up that whole process. So let me go ahead and just run this. Did that work?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. You can see it on the left side. Also in your code editor, it's created already the file.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay, so let me just do kubectl. Yeah, I see it here. Cool, yeah. So,
No, it's actually under it. You see AI workload standards YAML? Yeah, here it
okay,
goes.
cool.
Yeah.
Good call. Ls kubectl apply dash f AI dash. Okay, cool. So we have deployed that. So you can see this policy is checking, all of this. The resource health and node and token hardening is done for you. And then you can deploy it. We just manually deployed it for now. And let's make sure that policy is deployed. So let's go here, get cpol. And you can see that this AI workloads pod standards is deployed. And it's 21 seconds ago. So we are good to move to the next step. So let me go to next. So what we're doing here now is actually testing a non-compliant workload. So you can see here that this pod is missing CPU memory requests, liveliness probes, there's no node selector, and we're also not set the service account token to false. So it's a very basic pod. So you should not be able to deploy this, right? So let's go ahead here. So I'm just doing all of this in line just to save time. But you can see I'm just catting it and then just running kubectl apply, kubectl apply to this simple pod. So let's go ahead and do that and see what happens. Cool. So you can see Can you see my screen well, Marina? Should I zoom in or?
You can zoom in a little bit. I mean, I see well, even on small
Okay, cool.
screen, but yeah,
Yeah, so you can
let us
see
know. Yeah.
it did
Go ahead.
not let you. It said error, and it doesn't let you. It tells you that the pod was blocked, and it actually gives you the reason why it's all blocked. So you can see, have this set, have this set. There was no node selector, so it doesn't let you deploy, right? You want that. You don't want your workloads to be, anyone can deploy anything. So it causes a lot of issues. But if you have that policy governance on top of all of this, it, makes it a lot easier. So I know we're at 10 more minutes. I'm going to move to the next step, but all of this actually pops up in our control hub. So let me move to the next step. I'm going to skip this, but what this is you can actually ask our NCTL AI to explain, hey, why does this not work? And it actually gives you a compliant pod to deploy. So it's super cool to use that to also troubleshoot some of your things. So you can generate policies and also troubleshoot policies, right? So what we see is uh, developers struggle to figure out what happens sometimes when they get locked. So then you can just ask NCTL or AI to ask, hey, can you fix this? And it does fix this for you. So I'm just going to skip this for now. And
Mayur, we have a good question. So we have a Kubernetes workload scenario with approximately 10 pods, where only a couple of pods require after mount service account token true, while the remaining pods should have it disabled for security hardening. Can the workflow detect these exceptions automatically? And what is recommended approach for defining exemptions or intent-based policies in this scenario?
sorry, let me just read the question again. So you have 10
Mhm.
pods
So
and
basically, yeah, how to separate that some pods like need
yeah,
to have it, some actually need to be
yes, you
exceptions.
can. That's the cool thing about Kyverno is you can actually be very descriptive of what you want policy enforcement on. One way is if you're isolating with namespaces, you can have namespace selector. You can actually have labels for some of these pods that Kyverno can inherit, and you can say with labels, non-prod have that service token. So the best way I would say is do label-based isolation and then have your policies refer to that label to do policy enforcement on. Cool,
Hmm.
great question though. Very good question.
Yeah, I'll try
Um,
to find the link. I think I remember I saw it. Go ahead.
okay, cool. Let me move on to the next step. So let me resume sharing screen. And yeah, so the next thing we'll be doing is now deploying a compliant workload. So you can see this compliant workload. Again, this is CPU based. In your environment, please use GPUs. If you have access to that, we have all the node selectors selected. We do have CPU requests and all of that said. We're also have following best practice, so you're not running this as root and you're not mounting anything, so it's a very straightforward. And we're also exposing a service because I want to have that interactive loop. So let me just again copy this and go back here and just deploy this compliant workload, and we should see that the pod is created and the service is created. So let's quickly check that. So kubectl get pods dash n. Oh God, I do not remember what namespace I put this on. But let me just do kubectl get
Yeah,
namespaces.
namespace.
Um, and then yeah, kubectl get pods dash n. And yep, workloads. So you can see it's deployed, right? So the non-compliant one was denied. We deployed a compliant one. It let you deploy because we followed the best practice. And yeah, let's now actually do some inferencing. So what I've done here, this just checks if it's ready. We see it's ready, so we don't have to run that. And yeah, so we will now just do some port forwarding. So I'm just port forwarding and I'm putting the @ symbol here so that it runs in the background. And yep, so it's port forwarding. And let's just press enter here. And yeah, let's run a simple inferencing call here. So again, this is CPU, so it's hard coded, but if you're running this on GPUs, it will get a response back from your LLM. So here's a simple curl. and we're curling that service and pressing enter, and you can see we actually get a response back from the policy that from the the application we just deployed. So now we can run inferencing, knowing there's a governance layer on top of all of this. Real quick, I went to we we wanted to show you how this all ties in back to Nirmata Control Hub. So we know that we deployed a non-compliant policy. So how does this look in your environment? So in the Nirmata Control Hub dashboard, if I go to events, takes a quick second, you should see the non-compliant, dashboards detected. So let me give it a quick second. I'll just come back to that. Okay, cool. So you can see we tried to deploy that bad AI workload, and it's giving me all the messages. This was 6 minutes ago of why that failed, and it tells you this was blocked. So what we see some of our enterprise customers do, they pass it to some SIM tool that inherits all of this, and then the governance standard, you can say that, hey, we have blocked all these different workloads from being deployed, and here are the examples of it. And you can actually see all the the violations. So we know we deployed a pod security best practice. You can see all of that pop up here as well. So let me move on to the next step. I'm just going to speed up a bit. The next thing is cost governance. Again, you can use NCTL AI to generate this, because we all know how hard it can be sometimes to write policies, but we can just ask the AI, we can just ask AI to do it. For now, I'm just going to do it manually to save time. So it's the same policy I just copied from when it generated it. I'm just copying it for now. And let's do that. So what this is, again, the biggest thing we hear, and Marina can attest to this, is cost optimization, right? Like when you're running these workloads, they're very resource intensive. You want to have that, you want to limit that, otherwise your costs go out of the roof. So what we're doing in this policy is we're making sure that each of the pods do not have more than 2 CPUs or 4 gigs of memory, so that they're not uncapped. We have a cap of how much CPU and memory utilization they can use. So we can, deploy that, test it out. So let me go ahead and just deploy this. So we've deployed that policy, and let's quickly test this with a oversized policy. So you can see here, I have 8 and 32 gigs of memory. That's a lot, right? And we want to make sure, does this block it? So let me quickly run this. And you can see it does not let me deploy this, and it gives me the reason why. We have exceeded the memory limits, look for 2, not 16, right? And we can do the same thing in deploying a compliant or non-oversized workload. But yeah, that's the sort of the high level lab. All of this then ties back to Nirmata Control Hub. So in Nirmata Control Hub, all of this violations you can see it. You can actually click on it and see what the issues are. You can see what's being blocked. And the cool thing is we also have a co-pilot here as well. So I can ask here is, what violations should I work on? Or should I work on fixing? So what that does, it is context aware. So it also will scan your resources and then give you an overview of what needs to work on. So it has all the resources, because we are taking all this data, and our LLM is now able to contextualize that and actually give meaningful recommendations to platform teams when they're running these AI workloads. But yeah, I know I'm right on time and I rushed through the last few sections, but the key thing is we're using NCTL AI. So now you writing policies and figuring out how the policy should look like is not a concern. It also runs test cases for you and also deploys it. And so you don't have that bottleneck of figuring out how to do all of this. This is all done through our NCTL AI. And it also helps you with violations and understanding context within your cluster and how we can apply more governance layers on top of that.
The only one thing I would mention, it deploys it to account. If you have access to production one, you probably wanted to put it to the Git and deploy it for pipeline.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Thank
it's
you.
it's a modern issue. It's like everybody, AI can do everything, but is typically you do not have access production, and typically you want to definitely let AI generate, but yeah, it should be last resort when you apply some to production on life.
Yeah, so you can see
Um,
the Copilot as well gives you a summary of all the different things. And as Marina mentioned, you can also shift all of this left. In fact, Nico, you've asked a question about if you don't have kubectl access. Um, yeah, so we can actually scan your repos as well. So with the
yeah.
if you go into the pipeline control, so you can actually scan repositories, scan anything pretty much. And what we see some of our customers do is they integrate this within their Git actions. So it's proactively scanning as you do a PR, and it actually gives you feedback and blocks the PR saying, you've mounted the host container. It blocks you and it gives you that feedback loop. So you don't need kubectl access, and all of this is synced through, like Argo CD or something like that once you do that PR.
Yeah, I like to emphasize is like because we actually call it policy as a code. Even like we develop AI tools which can help us to generate, validate, and everything. The process doesn't change. Is the same as an engineer do their coding because like we do generate policies as a code, but typically it goes first to Git. So it's like any practices, best practice applying to coding apply to policy as code and should yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and again, this infrastructure is available for you for the next 2 days. Please use as much as you can. All the prereqs are installed. You do even have 15-day access to our control hub with NCTL AI. So we do encourage you to, test as much as you can.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the key thing that, this is take home. We squeezed in an hour lab squeezed in a quick lab, a 2 hour lab within an hour. So there's a lot more you can test. And the goal was to give users or attendees, the idea of how we can do this within your own environment. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. If it's Nirmata specific, Marina is also available. But I've left my email out here. So if there's any questions, if you're going to the lab and still need some guidance, feel free to email me and I'm happy to help. And yeah, that's it from my side. I'll pause for a second and we'll, stay on for maybe another 3 more minutes, Marina, and see if there's any other questions.
I don't, for some reason I started to see myself. No, I don't see any questions in the chat and Q&A. Hopefully it means like it was all clear. Folks, thank you for joining and just let us know. You can reach me on LinkedIn as well, if anything. Yeah, keep learning, keep giving us feedback, keep giving us like ideas of what you actually need to know about best practices and implementation, and happy to help and rest it.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you everyone for taking time and listening to me go through this workshop. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you, everyone, to join in. Have a good rest of the day, guys.
Bye.